Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today we're going to put a little video together on Is It Too Good to Be True? This is about products and services and stuff that you know can't actually work, but sometimes you fall for them anyway. Well, don't you just love those lying salesmen and talking BS and guaranteeing stuff that'll never work and you know it, but you're still on there lying about it? Well, what's that got to do with us today? Well, I actually bought a product and stuff, but I didn't listen to all these ads. I actually did a bunch of looking on the internet and stuff before I bought it, and still didn't meet my expectations. But the most common thing that you hear about are automotive chemicals for engine and transmission, and like this one here, engine swill. Dump it in your engine and rebuild your engine as you drive. You know it'll never work. You spend the $15 anyway and buy it, and 2 weeks later your car's in a junkyard. So anyway, we'll be back and talk about what the video is really about. Well, we're back. We're going to talk briefly about the scheme that we fell into and what it was. It's too good to be true. So most of the times when these things, there's some crazy salesman on TV yelling and screaming at you, and it's probably high-end drugs trying to sell you a product that's absolutely worthless. What we got into was actually not from those ads, but it was on YouTube a lot, and it pertains to people that heat with wood stoves, which we do. So anyway, it was called Heat Your House for Free. And what you do is you use cardboard, paper, junk mail, small boxes, stuff that usually go into the landfill. You can actually make a useful product out of it. And so what you need to do this, we have a bunch of shredded paper. We used to have a source for it for free, and since it was at work, we didn't, no cost for transporting it, so that was absolutely free. And then a couple old buckets. This is just a regular bucket with holes in the bottom. I'll show you what that's for. And just a regular bucket. So what we need here, we need our nice old vintage Shopmate drill hooked up to an old saw blade on a metal shaft. This is what you use for shredding the paper. So we'll get that set up and be back shortly. Okay, we're going to take our empty bucket, the one that doesn't have any holes in it, and dump in our shredded paper here. And we need to put some water in with it. It needs a fair amount of water to get everything saturated, and so it'll shred into a paste basically when it's done. So as soon as I get it filled up more, we'll be there. Okay, we're going to shred this stuff all up here. Okay, you can see that's a nice soupy mess. That's exactly what we want. So now we'll dump that in a bucket that has holes in the bottom so the water can drain out. Then we'll take this bucket down on the top, push it down, squeeze more water out of it. So once we get that done, I'll get the tool we're going to use and talk about it a bit. Okay, well here's what we're going to use. This makes our stuff into a little block. So we'll put some of this in here.
put this in on top of it. Has these ears sticking out so these arms can come across, and then you push it down. That, no, the water comes out. And when you're done, you take this out. You take this part out here. So you got a nice little brick there. Just like that. So this is what they're like after they're totally dried out. And like I say, most of the things they said about heating with this were true, 90% plus. Like, you know, your recycling stuff, instead of going to the dump, junk mail, stuff that would normally just be thrown out, so you can use it to heat. One thing they left out, doesn't put out any heat. So if you had a 100 square foot house with a full-size stove in it, it'd be perfect. But anyway, this whole thing weighs less than a quarter pound. And they burn really fast, so they don't put out much heat either. But we're going to do an experiment here. We saved some of this tree branches off the fir trees and stuff, had the needles and all that stuff, and let them dry thoroughly. So we're going to dump some of this in with a mix and mix it up good and see if it'll put out more heat doing that, which I think it will. So put some of that in there. We'll mix it up and come back. Assemble our block maker here. I can tell it's a lot more dense with that wood fiber and needles in there. That should be put out a lot more heat, I'm thinking. We shouldn't have all that much moisture come out of it. Yeah, a lot less. I'd say this weighs almost 3 times as much as the one I just did here. It takes several months for these to dry all the way through. I have a set of shelves in the woodshed that I put them on and let them dry out. So anytime that these too good to be true things, even if they sound pretty good like this, there's always a catch. You have to buy something. Our brick maker, fortunately, is 34 bucks. And, you know, it's a cheap piece of Chinese crapola. If you're careful with it, it'll do the job. So we'll make some more. And the thing that I found, I made about 250 of them before, and I'll show you what I used them for when I come back. Well, when you do fall for a scam or scheme or whatever, if you think about it and how to use your resources, you can turn a negative, which it was, because if you had to heat with it, you'd have to be up 24 hours a day and go through a couple hundred of them in a week just to keep a small area warm. So there again, using our resources, paper, tree debris. Here's what I've done. Break them up into small pieces like this. I use them for fire starter. So what I do, I always have a jug of used motor oil around, put just a little bit of diesel in it. I'll just pour a little bit of that and let it soak in here. I usually do that about a week before I use them. Put them in like so. And I keep them in a sealed tin like this, so no oxygen can get in. There's no chance of a fire, anything like that. And it works perfect. And so I'll usually make hundreds of these. And since we heat with wood 24 hours a day, the only time that I need to start fires is when I'm cleaning the stove or cleaning the chimney. So they'll last me basically a whole season. So there you go. Use all your resources. Everything has a purpose. Even if it's not vintage, it's still okay sometimes, but not very often. And we'll see you on the next video. Well, we're here for our test. We've got the two different types. This is just pure paper, and this is paper with tree debris, fir needles, and branches ground up in it. So we'll light them off and see how they do. See which ones burns the longest, hottest, and cleanest. Using our handy Zippo. Can we both lit at the same time here? There we go. Now I use a little bit of motor oil and a little bit of kerosene in there to light them off, so you'll see a little bit of smoke till they get going. Now you see the pure paper one is lighting off quicker and starting to char quicker because it's only paper. This will take more heat to get going. This one definitely puts out a lot more heat. So anyway, we'll time them and see how they do, and we'll be back. Okay, this one, which was all paper, it's pretty well out. It's just ash. That burnt for 7.5 minutes. This one just went out, and it's 12.5 minutes, and this one's still putting out some heat. This is nothing here at all. So these will actually burn a lot faster in the stove, because when I put them in there, I'll put kindling over the top of them. Once the kindling is going, it refracts the heat down and burns them up really quickly, and they're usually gone in a minute or less. But the one with the tree debris in it is really much better than one with just straight paper. So that'll be the end of the video pretty much, but we have a parody, so stick around and we'll see you a little bit later. Remember, use what you have. Howdy, Jake the Flake here. We got a product that you need. I'm one of those guys on TV that's gonna sell you something you absolutely can't live without. Here it is, super fast grass. Now if you have an ugly patio right in front of your garage, it's all concrete and it's really ugly, you can use this product here. It's guaranteed. You can put it on there, sprinkle the seeds out, water it, and 2 days later you have a lush green lawn. That's no BS. We'll show you a picture right now. Well, weren't you impressed with that beautiful lawn we showed you? Well, all you got to do is give us all your credit information over the internet, and we'll send it right out to you. And remember one thing, is if your bank account's cleaned out a week later, it's just circumstances. So now, remember, we are guaranteeing this product forever. So if you have any problems, all you do is send a post office box 187 in Nepal, and we'll handle it.